All right, last tip here. We've got some good time here. So this is where I mentioned, so this is leverage data to make decisions, okay? Now let me preface this by saying it's great to have a gut instinct, it's great to have intuition, or intuition as I call it, but you always want to test your intuition or your gut against data, okay? Data should be what you're using to make important decisions, okay? Monetary or financial decisions, things like that. Data is going to be the best way to make those decisions, okay? It's great to have a gut instinct, but you know, you can be wrong, okay? So test those instincts and intuitions against your data and see if it supports or negates it, okay? Knowledge is power. Remember that, okay? Knowledge is power and data is power, okay? There is a reason Google, Apple, and Amazon are the most powerful companies in the world, period. That reason is data, okay? Data is the most valuable commodity in the world. That's why these companies are so successful. They have more data on us and everything else than anyone else. And they leverage that data to increase their presence and make intelligent decisions. And then they pass that data to their customers and clients so that they can make better decisions, okay? You've heard of Amazon Web Services. You've heard of a lot of different Google products, right, and Apple products. A lot of those products use data to function, right, and give you insight and intelligence. So remember that. Data is power, okay? The better you know your visitors, the more success you're going to have with your website and digital marketing, okay? So this is the part where I'm going to get a little more technical. I'm going to try to keep it high level, but I really want to reinforce the importance of using data in your marketing, on your website, and the best way to use data to make decisions for your website and other marketing activities is Google Analytics, okay? And this is just a screenshot here. I'm going to jump in there just to show you a few things, but I want to go over really quickly the power, the sheer power of the data you can get from Google Analytics and the insights, the actionable insights. When I say actionable insights, that means you hear something or understand something and then boom, you can act on it and make a difference in your marketing, okay? Shift things, pivot, etc. All right, so I just want to review a few things that you can find out or understand or learn about your website, the people visiting it, where they live, what they're interested in, and their behavioral patterns, okay, that you can identify. Now, you probably don't go into analytics yourself, but once in a while, you may want to tell whoever built your website to send you a Google Analytics report of the performance on your website, right? So, you know, hey, Bob, or hey, Sean, can you send me, you know, a 2019 cumulative year review of my website performance? This will tell you, you know, has your traffic increased? Has social media been sending a lot of traffic to your website? What are your best referral sources, okay? So let me just go through a few of these things you can learn from Google Analytics, okay? And then I'll show you a quick screenshot, and then we'll go to Q&A, okay? So what can you learn from Google Analytics? You can learn things like your most popular pages on your website, top content on your website, articles and posts. So you can find out literally what are the top 10 pages or blog posts or articles on your website. Why do you want to know that? Because you probably want to create more content, articles, blog posts like that, right? If a lot of people are visiting, you know, 5 specific pages, you probably want to analyze the content, the topic, what visual elements you're using, and then create more of that, right? Because if it's your top content, it's popular, people like it, okay? So really, really good intelligence there. Your top traffic sources. In Google Analytics, these are categorized by what's called organic search, which means I go to Google, I type something in, okay? If your website comes up and I click on it, that's organic search. That means I got to your website by organic search, okay? Direct is you telling me your website at a networking event and then me typing in that URL to my website or to your website and going to it, okay? That's what direct is. Referral is just what it sounds like, okay? If there's a link on a website that suggests the top marketing agencies, and I'm one of them, you know, I wish, I hope, and you click on that link on someone's website and then they come to my website, that is a referral link, okay? Social, self-explanatory. Any social network sending traffic to your website is social, okay? Google Analytics also tells you visitor demographics, gender, age, things like that, behavior patterns and interests, which social channels are driving most traffic, and what types of content or pages those social visitors are most interested in, okay? Geographic data, where do people live that are visiting your website? If you have a lot of people that are in Los Angeles or San Francisco, you may want to know that if you have an event coming up in that part of the United States, right? It's really good to understand where your visitors live, right? Maybe your visitors are hyper local, right? Maybe you're a small business with one store or one office and it's the immediate area. Maybe that's Bethesda, Chevy Chase, maybe it's DC metro area. Maybe your small business operates on a national scale. Okay, you really want to understand where people are, especially if, you know, not right now, obviously, but in the future, if you're doing events or you're having a conference or an expo or things like that, and you want to get people to register who live near where that event is happening, okay? Average session duration, which just means on average, how long do people stay on your website before they leave. Bounce rate, which is if I go to your website and I look at your homepage for 2 seconds and I leave, that's a bounce, okay? If I navigate around your website, visit a few pages, and then leave, that's a lower bounce rate, okay? If people come to your website, see one page and leave, that's a high bounce rate, okay? You can also see things like new and returning visitors, which, as I mentioned before, is important to understand. Technology, Google Analytics tells you what type of phone, literally the model. This is, you know, people using a Galaxy S20 Ultra are looking at your website, okay? Or Apple. It also tells you the browser, Safari, Chrome. This is information if you want to build an app for your small business in the future, and you go to Google Analytics and you see 80% of your website visitors are on Apple phones, well, then you probably want to develop your app for Apple or the App Store, okay? You guys may not know this, but when you develop an app, you have to choose. Do you want to develop it for iOS? Do you want to develop it for Android, or both? It's very expensive to create an app. So you want to have this intelligence before you spend all that money building an app. If you know most of the people visiting your site are using Apple phones, you probably want to start with an Apple app, okay? And much more. So really quickly, we've got 2 more minutes. I want to save at least 10 minutes for Q&A. I'm just going to show you real quick how deep the rabbit hole goes in Google Analytics. Okay, so this is a live view of what Google Analytics looks like. Okay, this is my client McKay Mortgage's website, and you can compare dates. Okay, so if you have a big campaign, if you have an event, if you do a webinar, and you want to see, did that event, webinar, whatever it was, campaign have an impact on my traffic? You can isolate that date in here and see, wow, you know, that event I had generated a lot of traffic. People clearly enjoyed it and they went to my website to learn more after the event, things like that, okay? Over here, you guys can still see my screen, right?
Yeah, Sean, we can still see.
Okay, cool, just wanna make sure. So over here, this is exactly what I was talking about, guys, okay? So if you go to demographics, you can literally see the age of people visiting your website, okay? 25, 34, 35, 44, etc. Gender, okay? If you only sell women's clothes, then this is something you want to look at, right? If you have a lot of males visiting your website, you may want to rethink your marketing, your messaging, your content, things like that, okay? Because again, your audience is purely female, so you want to make sure that it is skewed in that direction, okay? It also tells you metrics about the change in these types of things, okay? Interests. It literally tells you what your website visitors are interested in, okay? Now, you know, this is aggregated data that Google compiles, okay? So you can use this to figure out what types of blog posts you might want to create, okay? Geographic data, like I said before, location. Okay, it literally shows you where people live who are visiting you. If you click on United States, it'll drill down. And then if you click on the state, it'll drill down to the city level. So you can go country, state, city level. Silver Spring, Bethesda. It shows you where people are. So again, this is really, really great information to understand. Okay. Again, I don't want to bore you. I don't want you to fall asleep. But at the very minimum, ask whoever built your website. I hope that they installed Google Analytics. It's the first thing we do when we build a website for a client. When they built your website. So, email them, say, hey, hope you're doing well. Just wondering if you could send me, a report of the last 3 months of website traffic, or give me access or something like that, because I'd love to see. Okay, because this is really good information to understand.